I'm so glad that you're here with me for One Take on Joy. I feel like we haven't done one of these in a while. So I first of all wanted to tell you why I'm intentionally cutting off my head in this video because I really wanted you to see my shirt. I don't know if that's on camera, but the people who are athletes at the Special Olympics, these are my people because they know joy. So just a special shout out to all my friends who are Special Olympics athletes. So, okay, and speaking of cutting off my head, I have to tell you that every time I hear anybody mention that, I think of my grandpa who used to lovingly say, you want to lose 10 ugly pounds? Just cut off your head. So, such a funny guy. Okay, for today's story. Last time when we were together, we were really talking about the joy of celebrating the little things, and I have a couple of fun follow-ups to share with you. So a friend of mine sold her house, and they decided to celebrate that by taking champagne out on the boat in the middle of the night and drinking it out of paper cups. I love it. And then another listener celebrated what really wasn't a little thing. She actually got a clean bill of health, and she celebrated that by completing an art project and just really pouring her heart into gratitude and making beautiful art. And I just love that so much. So I do want to encourage you to keep celebrating. Look for the little things. Don't let them pass you by. But today I wanted to talk about times when you might not feel like celebrating. You know, life piles up, things aren't easy, and you are off track. I share this from the heart because this is exactly where I was yesterday. And I'll tell you what I did to get back on track. So you may be surprised, you know, in a life that seems ever joyful and full of fun. How could anyone get off track with that life? But I want you to know, like, we all work hard. We all have a lot on our plates. I'm an entrepreneur and I'm also a solopreneur. So that means if I'm not doing it, it doesn't get done. And yesterday it was just one of those days where stuff was piling up and I was done thinking about it. I didn't really feel like celebrating. I didn't feel like myself at all. I was just kind of done. And I was like, it was like 3:30. 3:30 in the afternoon is usually a time when I'm still hitting it really hard. There's so much on my mind at the end of the day, and I've just got all this stuff that I'm just plowing through and getting done. I start early, I work late, and by 3:30 it was over. It was not happening. I didn't care. I just did not care. I couldn't care. And so my husband said to me, do you want to go down to the lake? And I was like, yes, I totally want to go down to the lake. That sounds amazing. We have a boat down on a community dock. So we walked down the hill, we'd grabbed a drink, we're just walking down. We sat down on the dock and it was so amazing. I just asked for a few minutes of silence and I just wanted to take it in and not think anymore. You know, all the stuff that was like swirling, just turn that sound off and be present in the moment. So here we are at the end of the dock. The wind is blowing, you know, it's like pretty windy. My hair is kind of blowing back and it just made for the most beautiful scene in front of me, which just happened to be where the sunlight was hitting the water. And I could see just millions of sparkles on the water. And I just sat there in silence, just taking in the patterns of the waves. Every time the waves would change, the patterns of the sparkles would change. And it was just so beautiful and so magical. And the next thing you know, the wind picked up and my husband's beer blew off the dock and into the lake. And I said, you gotta jump in and get that. We weren't planning to swim. He was like, I'm not jumping in. So he's running, you know, he's like trying to reach from the dock. He couldn't reach the can and we're not just gonna let it float. So he's like, oh my gosh, I have to run next door and like get on the neighbor's dock. It was blowing really fast away from us. So he's running and I'm yelling, you need to jump in, you need to jump in. And so he gets to the end of the neighbor's dock and he's reaching out for it, you know, and he still cannot reach it. And I'm laughing from our dock and I'm yelling, jump in. And he looked at me and he goes, you jump in. I'm like, okay. So I just like jumped in fully clothed And like the water was so glorious. It was so cold and amazing. And it was so unplanned. It was so spontaneous. It was exactly what I needed. Not to dog how gorgeous those sparkles were on the water. I needed that too. But to just have an unplanned moment. Totally not what I would normally be doing in the like end of a work day, and I was over the moon excited to be able to be swimming in my clothes in this glorious cold water because I could. I felt like me again. And so the point that I want to make is, A, go someplace where the wind will knock your beer into the lake so that you have to jump in, and 2, think about just being spontaneous. I guess that's kind of an oxymoron. Think about being spontaneous. Okay, erase that. Just be spontaneous. When you don't feel like you, when the weight of the world piles up and all the crap is like on your mind, just cut the crap and go do something fun for a couple of minutes. If you don't have access to a lake, it doesn't matter. What is in your world that needs your attention? What can fill your joy bucket? What is it that is so not planned that when you're finished with it, you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I just got away with something. Like I totally feel like I was given a gift. It doesn't have to take hours either. In fact, I'm actually going to be speaking on this very subject. I don't know when you're watching this, but if you happen to catch this in time, you can sign up to go to a half-day conference where I'll be one of 4 speakers, and my whole message is about the joy of being spontaneous. Let me tell you, it feels good to do stuff that's not on your to-do list. And there's benefit to it, which I'll share at the conference, but I'll give you the inside scoop right now. Doing things that are spontaneous, not planned, just off the beaten path can be the very thing that can help you get back on track. Because you might remember, before that experience, I said I was not feeling like myself. I didn't care. I didn't want to do anything on my list. And after that experience, man, I felt like me. I felt like something changed. And it didn't even take very long. And then it carried over because I said this was yesterday. Well, here I am today. You know, we're talking a good 12 hours later. I am on fire. I'm ready. I'm fully energized. My tank is full. I can't wait to see what this day brings. And here it brought me to you. So that's a bonus. So bottom line, you know, think about just veering from the path. Get off track once in a while. Do something that you're not expecting to do. Let it fill your joy bucket. Let it help you get back on track and tell other people about it. My guess is they needed to hear that message. We all feel the weight of the world at times, no matter how much fun people's lives look. We need to hear that getting off track and being spontaneous can sometimes be the very thing that can help us feel like us again. So I hope that was helpful to you, and I'll see you next time. And yeah, this is the part where I'm supposed to tell you about my website and my services. I'm so bad at this. I just want to sit and talk with you all day. I'm a joy coach. I love to help people live more joyful lives. If you want to know more about that or about that conference, check it out in the description. My website will be there. It is joytotheworldcoaching.com, and I can't wait to see you next time. Until then, you know what I'm going to say. You've been here before. Say it with me. Go forth and be joyful. That's right.